On the first day of the special session of Parliament, there is now ruckus over G20 in Parliament. Mallikarjun Kharge has referred to G20 as G2. The Rajya Sabha chairman then objects to these comments. Mallikarjun Kharge further went on to say, only we could see G2 and Lotus on the posters. There was also a response that came from Piyush Goyal, who in fact urged Kharge not to make fun as far as G20 is concerned. So there is some exchange of political war of words between Mallikarjun Kharge and Piyush Goyal as far as the recently concluded G20 summit is concerned. Let's in fact listen in to those sound bites.
ये जरूरी है, इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करना इम्पोर्टेंट है, नहीं तो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगा डेमोक्रेसी। अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट अगर बढ़ती गई तो डेमोक्रेसी नहीं रहेगी। इसीलिए मैं आपसे विनती करता हूं कि इन चीजों को कुछ उत्तर दे। सिर्फ हमने वो किया, ये ठीक है, G2 ठीक है, G2 क्या G20 सर? नहीं, क्योंकि वो जीरो में कमल का फूल ही दिखता था। अब देखिए साहब, वो आप देखिए, वेरी गुड, हाँ, आप देखिए वो कभी भी एडवर्टाइजमेंट।
जो वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की भावना पूरे विश्व में, कि हमारे लिए देश ही नहीं पूरा विश्व एक परिवार है और हम सबकी चिंता करने वाला देश है। ये जो भावना लेके भारत की G20 की अध्यक्षता बहुत सफलतापूर्वक अभी समापन हुई है और लीडर समिट समापन हुआ है और नवंबर 30 को हमारी अध्यक्षता का समय पूरा होगा। हमने अवश्य पूरे विश्व में एक अमिट छाप छोड़ी है भारत की अध्यक्षता की, भारत के नेतृत्व की, और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जिस प्रकार से आज पूरे विश्व में एक एक्सेप्टेंस बनी है, उनकी लीडरशिप के प्रति जो आस्था देखने को मिलती है, वो पूरे देश को, देशवासियों को गौरवान्वित करती है।
Let's also now bring in our colleague and senior editor Pallavi Ghosh, who is joining us on the broadcast. Pallavi, there is no denying the fact that the recently concluded G20 summit in terms of India's presidency has been historic on multiple levels. Many have gone on to say that what was unimaginable, unthinkable, even till a night before was in fact achieved by India. So then what was the point that was in fact being made by Mallikarjun Kharge?
I'm sorry, Ridhima, if you could repeat your question, please.
Pallavi, if you can hear me, I was essentially trying to understand, when we see these war of words between Mallikarjun Kharge and Piyush Goyal as far as G20 is concerned, what is the larger point that was being made by Mr. Kharge?
See, the Prime Minister's speech in contrast was one more like, conciliatory, not picking any political points or not making any barbs against any political party or any political leader, essentially making the point as a head of the government that democracy is also about taking all shades together. We saw a completely different picture in contrast, at least in Rajya Sabha, where there were those war of words which took place between the leader of the House, Mr. Piyush Goyal, and of course the Congress president, who is again the leader of the House, which is Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. It all began with the G20 summit, where Mr. Kharge said that, the G20 summit is more about G2, which essentially was taking a pot shot at the big two in the government, which is the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. That word G was played upon by Mr. Piyush Goyal. He said that, Congress and your politics is all about G, which is of course Rahul Gandhi as well as Sonia Gandhi. It was followed by a little bit of a friendly banter, but the undercurrent of animosity and an altercation was very much evident to see. I think after today's and tomorrow's bonhomie, because both the days are slotted for discussion on the 75 years of India's democracy ends, once the bills are taken up, and the big bill which everyone is looking forward to and hoping for, that is something which may bring out the fissures between the two sides. We should of course also understand that this is an election season. Whatever happens inside Parliament also percolates down to the other levels, and therefore every political party would want to score that brownie point, whether it's the BJP or the Congress or the other political parties as well.
Pallavi very rightly put that this undercurrent of animosity that possibly we're not seeing in the first 2 days might be more out in the open when the real business actually begins. What you also said later is crucial is the timing of when the special session of Parliament is happening, because the outcomes of this will have a direct bearing as far as the general elections is concerned. How crucial is the timing of when the special session of Parliament is happening?
But I I mean, history has, and parliamentary history has given evidence that, it's actually the prerogative of the government in power to decide when they want to call a special session. There's usually some kind of an urgency or an important bill which needs to be passed ASAP without going through the ordinance route. So the question which the opposition is asking is that what is that sense of urgency? Why is it that we could not have waited for another 2 months because the winter session begins by the end of November? So is it that the government wants to do something? Well, the government, what is it if they are trying to come out with a game changer bill just ahead of the state elections? Well, I think we should get a clarity maybe today or tomorrow. But apart from that, I think the government decided to choose the right time to shift into the new parliament building, which you can see just right behind me. This is the old building. Tomorrow onwards, we are going to start moving into a new parliament building, and all preparations are in place. Well, in the new parliament building, I think they want to choose the right date, and the right date and the auspicious one is considered to be Ganesh Chaturthi. According to Hindi scriptures and cultures, every good work is done with Om Ganeshaya Namah, which is, you pay your tribute to Lord Ganesh, and that's considered to be the auspicious beginning. I think that's the reason why the government wants to choose Ganesh Chaturthi as the day when they want to shift into the new parliament building from the old one.
Okay, Pallavi, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. We'll continue to come back to you right through the day. Before we go back to our guests, let's also bring our viewers up to speed in terms of what we heard from the Prime Minister earlier in the day in terms of what he said as far as the old Parliament building is concerned, and also what he said as far as the recently concluded G20 summit and what India, in fact, managed to achieve through its presidency. So let's break down all those details. What we heard from the Prime Minister was that G20 success belongs to 140 crore Indians, and this in fact is something that he said even last week when he was in the poll-bound states of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. The Prime Minister then went on to say something very, very important, that no one political party or individual in fact can take the credit of what India has managed to achieve. That success belongs to every single Indian. The Prime Minister then also spoke about the various achievements of India through its presidency. One, of course, was the inclusion of the African Union, which became an unforgettable moment. And why the inclusion of African Union became important is something that we've highlighted, that essentially what was seen as an elite group now seen as more inclusive. The Prime Minister then also said that India now going forward has now emerged as a Vishwamitra, or as a friend for all going forward. The Prime Minister then also said everybody now wants to befriend India, in a way establishing what all India has achieved and its position going forward as well. Let's in fact go back to our guests who continue to be with us. We have columnist Yuvraj Pokharna, who continues to be with us, and political analyst Ravi Shankar as well. Yuvraj, let me come to you first. Before we slipped into a very short break, we were talking about that all eyes are now going to be on the women reservation bill. Sources are indicating to us that possibly when the legislative business in fact begins on Tuesday is when we could see the tabling of this very crucial bill. But if you go back in history, it was in 2010 when we'd seen the tabling of this bill in Rajya Sabha. From 2010 to 2023, the opposition is saying the government just hasn't had any intent, and that is why we're seeing the delay as far as the passage of this bill is concerned.
Ridhima, opposition is being hypocritical. It's nothing but a double speak, and they are shooting their own foot when they speak about women's rights. See, I'll tell you, the famous Shah Bano judgment that Mr. Rajiv Gandhi ji revoked. Leave aside that, let us talk about current situation. As you well put on record that the bill has been languishing since 2010. And I remember last 2010, it was the government of Congress, the opposition-led government. So they were completely mum on the bill, and the moment they get the rumors, the moment they started getting the chatters that BJP is going to, under the stewardship of PM Modi, is going to table the bill on women's reservation, they started latching on this issue. And the moment this bill will get sanctioned, trust me, all guns will get ablaze on the BJP by the India Alliance that ye humne kiya aur hamare pressure mein BJP ne kiya. So they just want to, steal away the party. They just want to steal away the show. That's it. And it's nothing but a double speak of the opposition.
No, but you still didn't answer my question. What really caused the delay over the last 10 years? Why could we not have consensus as far as this bill is concerned?
Ridhima, see, when it comes to women issues concerning to women and children, these are very critical issues, very sensitive issues. The government has to have a delegated dialogue, a channel from the center to the district and village panchayat level. There are issues that are germane to women from one background, one community, which won't, be germane to you. Of course, there are issues that may concern you, but they won't be concerning a village girl or a girl hailing from a particular community or a cult or a sect.
Okay.
So, we need a proper delegation, we need a proper deliberation, we need, a broader consensus built. And these are very sensitive issues. So,
sure.
the
So
government
Yuvraj,
is
you're
well within
saying
its
that,
right.
okay, so you're saying this is a sensitive matter, possibly needs
Of course it
further
is.
discussions and deliberations.
Ridhima, don't you think so? Don't you think so? I'm just asking
No,
you.
but Yuvraj, then this is my counter. When you say that this is such a sensitive matter, this is an issue of priority as well. Shouldn't this have been the priority in the last few years? That aside, let me talk about this special session of Parliament, because the opposition is not convinced even as far as the timing of when this is happening. If the bill does have to go through, they all are saying that it's the centre that also realises the importance of the women voter, and that is why they want to get this bill passed just before the general elections.
I'm very sorry, I'm very appalled to see the sorry state of this opposition. This new parliament session is rightly called the Amrit Kal session. From India's tryst with destiny to this, the narrative is completely changed. It is about New Bharat right now. If you carefully read the speech of PM Modi, and as our colleague Pallavi rightly said, he was a complete statesman. He lauded 7,500 parliamentarians till date. He lauded the work of each and every prime minister that India had, and his speech was completely non-partisan. So it's a celebratory occasion for us.
Okay.
We are celebrating the 75 years of Indian democracy. We are celebrating the Indian democratic ethos of Bharat. So I don't see any reason for opposition to crib like children. They're being nothing but crybabies. They're playing spoil sport.
Okay, Yuvraj, I'll just request you to stay on with us. We have some other reactions also coming in. Let's take a look at those.
हम बहुत दिन से ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं, सभी की इच्छा है कि महिला रिजर्वेशन का बिल आना चाहिए और महिलाओं को देना चाहिए जो ड्यू है। आज तक हमने सब कोशिश की, लेकिन अब मैं समझता हूँ जब आप ये मुद्दा उठाएंगे तो जरूर आपके बात को मान्यता वो दे देंगे।
तो हमारी तरफ से फिर हम ये मांग करते हैं कि आपकी सरकार रहते हुए ये वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल को पारित किया जाए। ये हमारी देशवासियों की मांग है। मुझे लगता है कि आप हमारी बात को जरूर गौर से सोचेंगे। सर, आपको शायद ये भी जानकारी होंगे कि हमारे पार्टी की तरफ से, खासकर हमारे पार्टी की सीपीपी चेयरपर्सन मैडम सोनिया गांधी जी वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल के लिए सदन में कितने बार सवाल किए हैं, और उन्हीं की अगुवाई में राज्यसभा में पारित होते हुए भी ये आज तक साकार नहीं हो पाए। तो हमारी तरफ से फिर हम ये मांग करते हैं कि आपकी सरकार रहते हुए ये वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल को पारित किया जाए। ये हमारी देशवासियों की मांग है। मुझे लगता है कि आप हमारी बात को जरूर गौर से सोचेंगे।
वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल के लिए तो हमारा बहुत कई सालों से हमारा डिमांड है, क्योंकि आप जानते हैं उड़ीसा एक ऐसा राज्य है, हमारा अर्बन सेक्टर में और पंचायत राज में 50% रिजर्वेशन नवीन पटनायक जी ने करा है रिजर्वेशन। तो नवीन पटनायक जी के पहल पर काफ़ी जगह में हमारे मिनिस्टर लोग, हमारे लीडर्स लोग जाके अलग अलग राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री को मिलकर रिक्वेस्ट लेटर भी दिए हैं कि वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल पार्लियामेंट में आना चाहिए, और सबका समर्थन के लिए हम लोग सारा भारतवर्ष में हर मुख्यमंत्री के पास नवीन बाबू भेजे थे। हमारे मिनिस्टर डेलीगेशन जो है हम लोग गए थे। हम लोग तो बहुत दिन से हमारा ये डिमांड है कि वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल आना चाहिए पार्लियामेंट में।
नहीं लाएंगे।
आप समर्थन करते हैं कि आना चाहिए?
बिल्कुल आना चाहिए, क्यों नहीं आना चाहिए। आज दुनिया की आधी आबादी 50% हो गई, तो लाना चाहिए और आना भी चाहिए। हम लोग इसका समर्थन करते हैं पूरा।
देखिए, महिला आरक्षण बिल जो है ये बहुत सालों से, बहुत डेकेडों से यहाँ पे पड़ी हुई है, पर एक चीज़ सबको सोचना चाहिए कि जिनको ये काम करना था वो तो कर ही लिए। तृणमूल कांग्रेस और बीजेडी, ये दो पार्टियां जो है वो तो बगैर वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल का ही 35% से ज़्यादा लेड महिलाओं को पार्लियामेंट में भेज दिया है। तो अगर दूसरों पार्टी को भी ये करना था, ये बगैर बिल के भी कर सकते थे, पर बगैर बिल के इन्होंने किया नहीं। तो आई थिंक इट इज़ हाई टाइम नाउ दैट ये इनका पास बहुमत है और ऑर्डिनेंस पे ऑर्डिनेंस ये करते जा रहे थे। तो ये महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल, विमेंस रिजर्वेशन बिल विद फुल मेजॉरिटी अभी तक क्यों नहीं हुआ, यही प्रश्न है।